Madam President, first of all, I stand here in total agreement with everything my good friend from Indiana has said, and I think particularly the emphasis, the time is right. It's now. You know, we've been talking about a balanced budget amendment. We've been talking about this problem for many, many years. To me, I feel great frustration that I'm even here right now in the chamber. We've quite often, what I do, I have kind of a regular schedule. If I'm not on a weekend in Iraq, Afghanistan, or Africa, or someplace having to do with the duties that I have as a second-ranking member of the Armed Services Committee, I'm back in Oklahoma. And I've been a pilot for 50 years, and I get in a little plane, and I go out, and I talk to real people. And people shake their heads and say, you know, why are we still talking about this? Why aren't we doing it? Why is it that we are so wrapped up in this thing? And the answer, there's not an easy answer to this thing. We're supposed to be back here, I guess, talking about the Libya resolution. I think we all realize that that's something that kind of diverts the attention of the American people from the real problem. The real problem, of course, is the deficit. Now, as I see where we are and look at some of the alternatives that they have, the senator from Indiana talked about the fact that the Democrats want to now, I guess tomorrow morning, vote on some kind of a bill that is going to be a tax increase on the millionaires. So we're right back again with our class warfare. Now, if we were to rephrase that statement from an economic perspective, we'd say something like this. It's the sense of the Senate that we should raise taxes on America's job creators and entrepreneurs to prevent the economy from recovering from this recession, because that's exactly what we'd be doing. Yesterday, I searched through a database of the IRS, their historical tax data, and if we were to tax all of the income of those individuals making $1 million or more at a 100% tax rate, in other words, take every cent they have, tax them all, the total amount of revenue that would be generated would be $700 billion. Now, stop and think about that. $700 billion is way less than half of the deficit that President Obama gave us just this year, $1.65 trillion deficit. And so we're not talking, it's clearly a deceptive thing. The American people, I think they assume they're so dumb that they think they can tax millionaires and get us out of this mess. According to the Joint Committee on Taxation, the 750,000 Americans in the highest tax bracket report less than half of the total net business income earned in this country. This is income that comes from flow-through entities like the LLCs and partnerships. In other words, it comes from small businesses. Now, if we were to tax the small businesses, as they're going to attempt to do by saying they're taxing the millionaires, who's going to be able to grow their small businesses? I don't know. I don't have the answer. No one. I guess that's the answer. There's no question we have a serious problem in Washington. Our debt's at the legal limit of $14.3 trillion. And what's caused this problem? It's spending. In the short 2.5 years since coming to office, President Obama has managed to increase spending by 30%. 30%. He incurred $1 trillion deficits each year and pushed our national debt up by 35%. The statistic that no one seems to care about, and we say it over and over again, that this president has increased the debt of America more in his 2.5 years than all presidents throughout the history of America, from George Washington to George W. Bush. Let me say, this isn't the first time this is coming up. Every time you turn around in this administration, well, we're going to have to increase the debt limit. If not, some great crisis is going to take place. We did this in February 17th, 2009. I voted against it, but they increased the debt limit at that time. If you remember, that was the $800 billion stimulus bill. Then in December of 2009, a standalone bill to increase the debt limit of $290 billion. It passed. So, and you know, we remember so well the saying in Tim Geithner saying, if we don't do this, it's going to ruin our credit nationwide. Then again, February of 2010, $1.9 trillion. They increased it again. The same thing. You got to draw the line someplace. There's going to be some point at which you're going to say, no, we're not going to do it unless we get some reductions in some fiscal sanity that's built into it. So we have right now, since reaching the legal limit, the Treasury's been shuffling money around to pay bills, and they'll run out of ways to do this on August 2nd. And if agreement to raise the debt limit has not been reached by then, Treasury will have to start deciding which bills to pay and which bills not to pay, and nobody wants that. But in order to raise the debt ceiling, we've got to lock in the reforms necessary to permanently prevent this income debt crisis. You know, Madam President, we all know the scary statistics. But to me, solving the problem is easy. We spent our way into this problem, so we need to stop spending our way to get out of it. Tax revenue has not been our problem, and tax hikes shouldn't be a part of the solution. Regardless, President Obama has made very clear that he wants tax increases to be included in any kind of a debt limit deal. Sure, he may say that he just wants to raise taxes on millionaires and billionaires. You're going to hear it over and over again. And all these people out there are supposed to believe this. It's just not true. As I said earlier, to the folks he's targeting are those that own small businesses, and they're the ones who are creating jobs. When you target tax hikes on folks like these, you hurt everybody. This is not what we need to do with our economy is stalling and our unemployment rate is still above 9%. Instead, we need to cut spending in the short term, cap. This is the program that many people have adhered to now. I don't know how many we have, but I think a pledge includes about 30 members that say we need to cut spending short term, cap spending in the medium term, and balance the budget in the long term to put the nation on a sustainable, limited government path. This is the only way out of this mess. And you know, I've been a leader here. I can remember back when I introduced the HELP Act. That was when this president first came in, and he wanted to take the non-discretionary or the discretionary non-defense spending and freeze it at the new level after he'd increased it by 20%. I said, no, let's go back to 2008 levels. If we had done that, we would not be facing the problem that we have. Decades ago, when I was in the state legislature, there was a great senator from Nebraska named Carl Curtis. He came to me one day and he said, you know, I've been trying to pass a balanced budget amendment here in the United States Senate for decades. And the argument they use against it is, well, the states will never ratify it. So he came up with this idea, let's pre-ratify a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution. Well, that sounded great to me, and so I introduced a resolution in the Oklahoma State Senate pre-ratifying, which we did, a budget balancing amendment to the Constitution. That was really kind of fun. We came within 2 or 3 states of doing this, or we wouldn't be here today with the problem that we are facing. So when you look and you say that it's going to be difficult, it's not difficult. But I really believe that the only way to be able to pull this thing off and to really resolve the problem is to do something about a balanced budget amendment. So we have proposed one. It's out there. Senator Hatch, I know, is active in this. We're all looking at it. And during peacetime, the amendment would require a 2/3 majority in both chambers of Congress to authorize a specific deficit funding level for a fiscal year. We all understand emergencies can come up. We can have wars, in which case we need to do something about it. And this allows an escape, but it means 2/3 of the majority of the House and the Senate would have to agree to it. And importantly, the balanced budget amendment would require a 2/3 majority in both chambers to pass any, I repeat, any kind of a tax increase. Our problems are tax increases, and that's what the president wants more of. The balanced budget amendment is the only reform that will put our nation in a true path to permanent fiscal stability. And this is what we need to do. This balanced budget amendment is the reform we need, and I pledge to oppose any deal to increase the debt limit that does not immediately cut the spending in the short term, cap the spending in the medium term, and include a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution. So I urge the members to seize upon this opportunity. We have not had a serious opportunity at a balanced budget amendment now for decades. But the time is here now because we've never faced this before. We've never had a president that has proposed and passed $5 trillion of deficit in 2.5 years. And the people of America are not dumb. They know we can't sustain that. So they're going to say, all right, if we have to all bite the bullet and do this thing, we need to do it. The time is right. And I agree with the senator from Indiana who said that there hasn't been a time before that is right, but this time is right. Now that this legislative agenda is dead that we've been talking about, the President has pursued aggressive regulations, especially through the EPA, that have seriously harmed the economy. I think a lot of people are confined in their thinking about the fact that we're spending too much money. They don't realize that there's also a cost to overregulation. Right now, almost everything that the liberals have tried to pass through here, such as cap and trade, the President and and his colleagues in the House and the Senate are trying to do through regulation, through the EPA, and that is just as expensive as spending money. So I don't think this is rocket science. It's something that we can pass a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution and put Americans back to work, and these are the only things that will resolve our debt problems. And with that, Madam President, I yield the floor.